Attention on this channel. We've got an important message. All observations and opinions shared here are for educational purposes only. This content is intended for adults. Viewer discretion is advised. Be advised that any individuals mentioned are not intended to suggest involvement in any crime.
Case by case, got the fire. Ha!
Come on,
Yo, you wanna talk about true crime? We start with a guide that flows. Digital footprints meet criminal defense, that's how this story goes. This channel's all about online evidence, the stuff they overlook. From live stream chats to deleted posts, it's all in the true crime book. My goal is to provide insight for the attorney in the darkest hour, to find the proof that can make a case or break a criminal's power. So whether you're a lawyer or a PI, we're diving deep in the mess, exposing misconduct and hidden truths to get to the very best leads. We break it down case by case, on the trail of the facts. We show how digital evidence changes case outcomes beyond their tracks. No rumors, no gossip, just the evidence clear and concise, shining a light on the shadows at any cost or price. What do we do?
case by case.
What's the motto? We're here for the victims, the ones who were left behind. We're here for the families, giving them peace of mind. We follow the paper trail, the digital footprints and the timelines, connecting the dots, we're reading between the lines. We don't just talk theory, we show you how it works in practice. We're here to help you stay ahead of the curve, to get a new analysis. You think you're in charge, but we're here to find what matters most. We're giving a voice to the voiceless, like a digital ghost. Digital ghost, digital ghost. We break it down case by case, on the trail of the facts. We show how digital evidence changes case outcomes beyond their tracks. No rumors, no gossip, just the evidence clear and concise, shining a light on the shadows at any cost or price. What do we do?
Case by case.
What's the motto? From Digital Clues. The mystery, you wanna know the answers? We're dedicated to the chase, from the first look at the scene to the final resting place. We're here to find the answers, to give the victims their due. A true crime channel with a heart and a purpose too. We're here to build up, to expose the truth, and to shine a light on the darkest of deeds with all our might. We're here for the truth, we're here for the facts, and that's it. We don't chase the trends, we just chase the truth and never quit. We let the past speak for itself, we let the facts lay the ground. We're just here to be a voice, a tribute that is sound. Yeah, it's all for the truth.
Ha! Come on, come on. Let's go.
Their thoughts for you, yeah.
Won't kiss the ring. Yeah. Ha. Come on.
Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. What's going on? Welcome to Case by Case. Hey, Gilletta. Hey, Mother of Dragons. So I had nothing going on. Was going to do a members only live tonight, and I thought, let's just go live and we'll just, chit chat, see how everyone's Christmas went, and if everybody is having a blessed holiday. I had a great Christmas, and it's not over yet. Hey, girl, Shabugs. Hey, Cherie. My Christmas isn't over yet. My kids will be over on Sunday, so it's kind of a drawn out process. Everybody's got places to go, people to see, so I try to be flexible. How's everybody doing tonight? I thought we could just look at the chat here. I thought we could just come together and just chit chat, talk about if anybody has a topic they want to talk about. Obviously, most of you I know want to talk about Delphi, and I'm willing to even drop the link if somebody wants to come on and ask some questions or just chit chat Hi, Michelle. I've been doing a lot of, well, I've reread the brief, the appellate brief. I really don't know how, I don't know. I'm trying to stay focused on being positive. I just, there's some things that are, I just question about the brief, but I'm not a lawyer, so who am I? So if anybody has any questions or comments about that you want to raise, tonight's the night. Just kind of a relaxed, shoot the shit type of live. I have no agenda. I really don't have much. I can access anything from the vault that anybody wants to talk about. Mother of Dragons, I sent you a little Christmas present to your Cash App. Oh, you did? I haven't gotten any notification. Oh, thank you. You didn't have to do that. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Why was Elvis left out of the brief? Good question. Very good question. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all of you guys. I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas. I had to work today. Getting up after Christmas to go to work was the worst. It just made me walk in and want to cuss everybody out. Like I should be in bed. So thank you so much, Mother of Dragons. I appreciate all of my mods. I have the best mods. Why was Elvis left out of the brief? That's a good question. I really don't, I don't understand. There was a lot of things that were left out of the brief that I feel are equally important as what was put in the brief. And I'm hoping it's strategy. I'm hoping that they've got a game plan anticipating the response from the state. The thing is that my understanding is they got to be very careful because they really can't, even in their response, they can't raise new arguments. So the fact that they left out Chronic, the fact that they left out Elvis Fields, they left out like the major topic of a nexus is a big deal. That wasn't raised. And when we read it on here, we read it straight through. So it was a lot to digest. I've gone back and re-listened, and I have more questions. You're right, they didn't have enough words. But I mean, the third party suspect element of the appeal, not the element itself, it was Judge Gall's ruling on allowing the information about the third party suspects. I mean, she literally denied the defense team from even putting on a defense. So that should be legal argument in the appellate brief, which that's all encumberancing of Patrick Westphal, Brad Holder, and that kind of all could have been summed up, I would have thought, rather easily with the Odin report. So Jeremiah Brady says, I really want to know why Kelsey wasn't pushed at harder with her story changed every time law enforcement talked to her. Yeah. And Ron Logan was left out of the brief. Yeah. Hey, Phoenix, how are you? Well, so tomorrow, and I'm so sorry to keep changing up my schedule, but I don't have a choice. So because my kids are coming over on Sunday now for Christmas, we won't be doing the vault on Sunday. So we're going to do the vault episode tomorrow at 1. This is going to be the maps presentation that Fungi has, and we're going to kind of recap on last week's vault with the Kelsey's route and all of that. I would love, like, what I really need to do is I want to put together a compilation of every interview that Kelsey's ever done and all of her statements. And it's really mind-blowing when you line them up in order and how they change. It's shocking. And we're just supposed to go, oh, okay. You just can make it up as you go. Oh, yeah, it's my background music. I can turn it off. Hold on. There we go. Turn it off. It's off. Hopefully Scott, hopefully they do read it. And that was like a big request that the appellate team asked of the appellate court, was to read the Franks motion. Because we all know that Judge Gall probably did not read it. And it's so frustrating because I listened to Andrea Burkhart on The Lawyer You Know. I listened to it this morning, where she was talking. Well, they were both talking about other cases where much less was allowed in to point the finger at a third party suspect. They talked about the Murdaugh case. They talked about was it Brian Welsh's case just recently, about the sudden death thing that he claimed his wife died of, and how all of those things were let in. And we've got all of this. We have a lot connecting third party suspects in this case, and it was just, there was no defense allowed whatsoever. Skin Row, wake up. You don't get to doze and listen. Wake up. Who's in here? Let me see. Queen of the Hill. Oh my gosh, I would love for you to do that. Actually, I was thinking about you today, about reaching out to you today to help me with some things. So how do you guys feel about the brief? I think initially when we first read it, I think everybody felt it was really strong. Now that you've had a chance to digest it and listen to the different commentary going on about it, and I'm still planning on having Osbert come on and talk about it with a non-lawyer. I know that he's been on over at Defense Diaries. Love them, and they're doing all of the legal analysis and lawyer talk. But for the lay people here who aren't attorneys, but we are smart people, I'm still going to have him on to talk about it. And I think too, giving him, we all want to be supportive, right? We all want to be supportive of the appellate team. We all want to be supportive of the pursuit of justice and getting Rick out of the situation that he's in. So I think it's taken, it's been about a week now. Everybody's had a chance to digest it. And now there's some, critiquing going on and some criticism. And there's also a lot of support. So, how do all of you people in chat feel? Do you guys feel like the appellate brief was strong, or were you expecting more? Were you expecting less? Give me your thoughts. And if somebody, give me a high five in the chat if one of you guys want me to drop the link and you want to come up and talk. It's Friday night. We have nothing else going on. As long as you can behave and not get me kicked off YouTube, I'll let you come up. Laura says she's trying to have positive thoughts. So, AKA Jer says, I think they're heading in the wrong direction with the brief. What do you mean? What is your thought process on the wrong direction? Like which is it, all of it, or is there a certain aspect of it? They have to be able to, what they're trying to do is they're supposed to be arguing they're supposed to be arguing the legal aspects of the rulings that Judge Gall put forth at the trial. And really, to be honest, she's really slick because the majority of her rulings came without any kind of legal. She never gave a legal reason why she was ruling the way that she was. She just most of the time she denied without giving any context to her denial, which then now the appellate court can't go back and critique her decision. It's kind of an open-ended denial, which makes their job even harder. Scott Peabody says, your last vault was, oh, thank you. Your last vault was amazing. If people didn't see it, there's like 4 to 5 photos missing that were taken from Libby's phone. Yes, there are. There are multiple phone events that this is one of those things where I have to say, trust me, bro. Fiend X, you are not on a YouTube timeout. In fact, you are a mod on this channel. Do you want to come up? Fiend, I see you. You're not on a timeout. Criminality says Fiend X needs a timeout. Hey, T. T, if you want to come up, just say the word. I don't think that Ron Logan was an informant at all. I think Ron Logan was possibly connected to some important people that gained him favor. Okay, so let me see here. I'm going to drop the link in for Fiend and T. Oh, okay, T. What are you cooking for dinner? Fiend, I'm dropping the link in here for Fiend. Connected how? I believe that spaghetti, that sounds good. I believe that Ron Logan was connected to I believe first and foremost there was some sort of underlying connection between him and the McClellans, the McClellan family, which is why Ron Logan had the insight to let people know that he was in prison with, that the new prosecutor coming in before he even took office was going to get him out of prison. And within 2 weeks of Nick McClellan assuming office, because Nick McClellan was not elected in, Nick McClellan made sure that Ron Logan's conviction was set aside and he was released on house arrest. So he did a converted sentence, and it was what Ron Logan was telling everybody that the new prosecutor was going to do. And why would he do that? There's so many undertones with some of the cases that I've covered in this area, where you've got shady underground people who have connections with real legal entities that give them the heads up, do them favors. And you have to remember that long before Nick McClellan became a prosecutor, Nick McClellan was a public defender. So he dealt with a lot of the criminal names and the criminal facets in these areas, all these surrounding little areas in Carroll County. Nick McClellan dealt with all of them. And he went from being their defender to then being a prosecutor. And, we started a while back and we really didn't follow through with it, which we should have, doing some, wait a minute, didn't I put the link in the chat? Yeah, I did. Fiend, the link is in the chat. Hey, Cryptex. Um, there's a lot of cases that uh, were okay. Well, first and foremost, I'll point out Garrett Kurtz. Fiend says I'm having technical difficulties. Garrett Kurtz, for one, breaking and entering, um, attempted murder, theft, gets out of jail in 10 days. Restraining order filed, violates it not once, but twice, gets out each time the same day. Gets pulled over 2 weeks later in a car that doesn't belong to him with methamphetamines, a scale, a syringe, and no driver's license. Let out the same night. And, Garrett has said, well, Nick McClelland's dad and my grandpa used to go hunting, and Nick told me I didn't have anything to worry about. He would take care of it. And I've heard that numerous times. I mean, there's a lot of different shady people who, look at Patrick Westphal. Look at him. Look at what you can't see on his record. Look at how he has felony after felony after felony and is still walking the streets. And I'm curious to see how this one plays out with him being a felon and carrying and having possession of a weapon. And he's a repeat offender. Let's see what happens with that. I mean, I guess, you have to ask yourself, do they think no one's watching still after, I understand before Delphi, maybe they thought no one was watching, but are they so brazen now to think that they can do what they want, when they want, with who they want, and they're not going to be held accountable? I mean, eventually, the past is going to catch up with someone. Melissa, absolutely. So, and that's why, that's so like, oh, there's, hello.
I think I got it to work.
You did. You're here.
It was very complicated. I don't know. Sometimes it's always different. The stream error. It's like not like I couldn't get it to work through the app, and then it makes you jump through a lot of hoops. Like sometimes it's easy.
I found out if I'm like joining someone else's stream, the only time if I go through Safari.
Yeah, I usually try to go through Safari. But preferably I like to use the app. Like there's a app that you can still use to be a guest, but it wasn't working.
Well, you're here. What's up?
Not too much. I just thought I'd pop in. I mean, the only thing that I really had on the brief, I think, well, a couple things. One, I think it's very funny when people like haven't read the brief and they're just getting like secondhand like opinions from dubious sources. Like, just read it or listen to someone read it, like the whole thing. Just otherwise, like, I would really care less what your opinion is on any of it. Like, but the only thing that I really kind of, I was very happy to see that it was included, but I wish they would have spent maybe multiple pages in support of it. Was like, I think there's just two sentences, but the fact that they offered the Franks hearing to the replacement attorneys and then rug pulled the original attorneys on that same offer, I think that's a huge deal. The other judges will look at that and be like, no, you cannot do that. Like, your rights do not depend on who your attorneys are.
Right. Oh, you're talking about when she was granting the new set of attorneys the rights to a Franks hearing, but she had been denying it to Baldwin and Rosie.
Correct. Well, and just even, I mean, more importantly, subsequent to that is, once you offered it to his attorney, I mean, the attorneys don't matter. It's Richard Allen. You know, the case
Right.
is Richard Allen. She offered a Frank's hearing to Richard Allen, and then she changed her mind about it because of who his attorneys were. You cannot do that.
And I agree with you. I agree with you on that, except for one aspect. They didn't follow it up with any kind of case law or any kind of legal remedy that they can point to say, because it can't be done, and this is the case that proves that. That's the one thing.
I mean the appellate attorneys.
Correct. The appellate attorneys didn't follow up with.
No, that's why I mean, like, I wish they would have spent more time on it as far as
right.
Going into detail about really, really pushing that particular point. Now, I think that judges will still, like, that's going to be jump out as a red flag, and I don't think that they can just gloss over it and overlook it. I think that's very impactful, but I wish they would have, like, you know, spent a couple pages
right,
really, really hammering that particular point.
Do you think? See, I have no faith in anything being remanded back to Judge Gall. Anything that to me, and this just might stem from, you know, I followed the Stephen Avery case for about 10 years, and it's a different case, obviously, but the corruption theme throughout the case is very similar. And when you get into a situation like I see in Delphi, where you're talking, you know, if Rick Allen was to succeed if he is to succeed in any of this, there's going to be serious ramifications across the board with the state in lawsuits and compensation for the detriment to his life that he has suffered. To where in Wisconsin, with the Stephen Avery case, it was a game of ping pong. It was almost, you know, it was blatantly clear what the state had done to this man. And the courts just continuously bounced it back to the same judge. We called her Judge Flowers, allowing her to review what the appellate court had said, take as much time as she possibly could to either hold a hearing to ultimately deny, or to sit on it, ask for an extension on her ruling, and then deny it again. Then it goes back through the appeal process. And I'm just afraid that we might find ourselves in a 3 or 4 year stint of, as long as Judge Gall is involved, this is going to be a game of back and forth. I'm hoping that there's going to be some sort of a reversal. And I just don't know if the direct appeal is that strong. I see it being, if anything, I see it being remanded back to Judge Gall, which in turn, you know, we're expecting her to hold a Frank's hearing and hear a lot of the same evidence that she already heard pre-trial, to merely deny it again and say, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. You know, my ruling is the same. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, I mean, I have that same concern, and I think to some extent to all extent, it may be mostly unavoidable. Like, I think that's, if something's to get pushed through here, remanding it in conducting a Frank's hearing. I mean, I think that she did really mess up in that context of offering the Frank's hearing and then not allowing it to go through. Mm-hmm. And I don't see what cure there is to it other than actually, you know, I mean, you're right. It'll be a mess doing that. The one thing that is like you can hang some hope on is that, like, there will be additional deposition and additional investigation that can currently occur rather than waiting for the next appeal.
Right. Well, and that's why, and that's why I still do stand firm on the fact that the post-conviction relief investigation should have already been started.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer that would be the way to go. I mean, that there was a very good avenue to pursue that, and for whatever reasons, you know.
Well, I'm curious to see what I'm curious to see what they do with what the appellate court rules on with the third party suspect aspect of it, because I do think that's probably one of the stronger elements of the brief. And possibly throwing out the search warrant. But
well, that's what the Franks is for, you know. It's for the search warrant, and like, I mean, if you make any headway on that, I mean, you know, that was always one thing that I always thought, hey, you know why they're so adamant about the Franks is because, like, they have so little. I mean, they have nothing, but what they have is you know, the gun and the bullets sort of stuff. But like, if you remove that, then you have even much less. And like obviously, like, if you get to a point where you know, okay, the search was unconstitutional, like, we can't, if you throw that out, like, then the trial is completely nonsense, because they used quite a lot from that search. So
okay, well, we I'm scared of this one. Someone just used the link to join the studio with the name, and I've never seen this person in my chat before ever. They're going by Obama Online.
I would say no on that one.
Well, let's just be yeah, Shabooks. Let's just see. We might have to go to battle. This might be a naysayer to what we believe here. Hold on.
Sounds like Dan.
Okay. Hey, Obama, what's up?
Hello. This is your president, Barack Obama. I'd just like to say, there's an armed robber in the house. 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 Sponge Rob is in the house. Sponge Rob is in the house. Sponge Rob is in the house. Hey, 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 hey.
Okay, now they're gone.
Huh. That was odd.
That was funny. So is there anything that you didn't see? Is there anything that you didn't see in the brief that you thought should have been there?
Well, first of all, thanks, Obama. Anything in the brief that I thought shouldn't be in there?
No, I said, is there anything that you thought should be in the brief that wasn't there?
I mean, hashtag not an attorney, so or hashtag not a lawyer. I don't know. I mean, I've heard Michael talk about it, you know, and he's more qualified than, like, pretty much literally anybody to, like, have strong opinions on that type of question. And even he's like, you know, it's their case. It's these appellate attorneys' case to make their decisions and make their arguments the way that they thought best, and they're in the best position to do that. So, I mean, it is what it is. I find it, I don't know. You know, I've got that one minor opinion that I wish that one item would be expanded on a bit more. But
I think the one thing that I would have,
hard to criticize these attorneys. I mean, I think it's pretty well written, and it's stuck to, like, there's no fluff in there. There's no, like, there's nothing that's like there's very little, or if anything, that's misrepresented. Like they're all things that actually definitely happened. Like sticking to the facts of what actually occurred and why you have beef with it. And I think that's good. I mean, I think when the other attorneys, judges that read this, they're going to, I think that they're going to be a little bit skeptical because they're probably not overly familiar with it. But I think when they find out, like, if they accept that all these things are actually true, which, we'll see what the response is, the reply, which things they refute, because anything they don't refute, now the judges need to accept that as basically fact. Otherwise, it would be refuted. And I think they're going to be surprised that so much of this is not refuted at all.
Well, I think I was expecting to see, and maybe not being an attorney is why it wasn't in there. I was expecting, along with the lines of the search warrant being unconstitutional and asking for it to be thrown out, that they would have included, hey, Michael, I was expecting to see something about the fact that Rick Allen actually had representation during the time that they held the safekeeping order, and they denied, they proceeded with the safekeeping order without him having representation, when Nick McClellan knew he had an attorney.
I mean, that entire situation is very, very murky to all of us. I feel like it was murky to his original attorneys, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's murky to his appellate attorneys. Like, I don't know what the exact situation was, and like, if you don't know what the situation is, it's hard to like do anything on that. And then also that wasn't really something that entered into this trial record very much. Otherwise we would know more about it.
We do know that he had representation. We do know that Nick McClellan did correspond with his attorney, and the fact that they had put Rick Allen in the jail under a fake name, so his attorney couldn't even find him. But
right. Some of these things we know logically, but we don't know via the record exactly. Like, yes, we do absolutely know those things, but like, we know it's not in black and white on paper.
So Michael was saying, sad that Chronic wasn't in there, but not my call, and won't second guess Mark and Stacy. Yeah, Michael, I'll try to elaborate a little bit on why Chronic was important. Chronic, for those, and I'm again in layman's language, Chronic was a legal remedy that allows the appellate court to rule on the motion to correct error on certain elements of the case that doesn't require them to find fault with Judge Gall. Because by the time this gets into the actual decision-making process by the appellate court, when all things are said and done, we've got the appellate brief filed, the state's going to get to respond, then the appellate team is going to get to file a rebuttal to the state's response, and then it will go to the appellate court, and they will take as much time as they need to make a decision. By this point in time, we are then going to be in the election cycle for Judge Gall to either automatically retake the bench because she doesn't have anyone going against her in an election. But if she does, this would allow them to make a decision without basically putting Judge Gall in a dark light that she did something wrong. And Michael Osbrook is saying Chronic was all Diener and Lesenby. So, Michael?
So I guess I have a question as far as, so say that Judge Gull like retires, that she's like, she obviously can't be the judge anymore, right?
I'm putting this.
Or
I'm,
she's not
hold on a
reelected,
second. Michael, if you've got a couple minutes, I'm dropping you the link if you want to come up for just a minute. But go ahead, Fiend.
I'm just saying, if she's, I don't know. I wouldn't be completely unsurprised if she pulls a Diener type of situation and kind of wants to peace out, given her age and health conditions. And
does she have health conditions?
Yeah,
I know that she was in the hospital at some point during the pre-trial situation, but I don't know for sure.
I don't know if it's ongoing. Yeah, no, that was hidden from the public until it wasn't, and where apparently all of the media was well aware that she wasn't actually like doing her duties, and she had some major health issues in the middle of this case and chose not to report it until they get the green light, which is not what we should expect from our media members or journalists. Like, you don't just
Michael
hold on things.
Michael can't come on, but he does say the state cannot make it a capital case if Rick gets a new trial. That's good to know. Yeah. She was.
The other thing I've got a question on is, as far as, I guess I want to know why. I mean, I know Michael's correct in saying that. I guess I want to know why that's the case. And I've got a secondary question about it, is that regarding double jeopardy, like they dismissed the felony murder charges. They had to, because you can't actually, even though he's found guilty of both, they have to pick or choose one or the other. So they picked the murder charges. Are they able to refile felony murder charges if it's, he gets a new trial, or are they now stuck with only, murder, quote unquote, one, like charges, because his felony murder charges were dismissed?
That honestly is a question for Michael. I'm not sure. So if he's still here, maybe he could drop that answer. And classic overthinker, I don't know what her health issues were. I just remember that at some point she was out of commission. They said that she was in the hospital, but no one ever gave a diagnosis as to why.
I mean, I know that other people knew about it before it was actually reported. I personally am aware of that.
Okay, so Michael says the felony, I'll put it up here. Michael says the felony murder charges were not dismissed. They merged, and they absolutely can come back. So so Michael, if the felony murder charges can come back, why wouldn't it become a capital case?
Well, I don't think the felony murder is capital eligible. I mean, the the thing with the felony murder is just whether he's connected in some way. That's
one of the.
But if he was connected in some way, like, there would have been evidence to that. Like, that is the most convincing thing about all of this, is that we haven't seen anything that actually connects him to anybody, to anything. Like, there's just nothing. There was nothing on both fronts. If he had been connected to anybody, like, that would have been their best evidence.
He said, Michael says, because you can't penalize people for successful appeals. Okay. Well,
I mean, I don't understand with the penalize. I mean,
meaning I'm assuming that they can't come back just because, let's say it's remanded or he gets a new trial. I take it as just because he won his appeal doesn't mean the state can come back and overcharge beyond what he was charged with originally.
well, he was charged with murder. I mean, that's what he's officially convicted on, is actual murder, not felony murder. They initially charged him with felony murder, but then they changed the day of the court hearing. That's
where I got confused with his charges to begin with, because initially it was supposed to be for kidnapping, which was what they ultimately needed, because the kidnapping resulted in their death. And then they upgraded it.
Sort of, but they didn't actually charge the kidnapping.
So Classic Overthinker says can't upgrade the charge, but not capital. Yeah, see, that's where I'm murky on that. So I don't want to say one way or the other, because I don't know.
He's talking about the capital part of it, that you can't.
Yeah, they're talking about, they're in chat, they're talking about capital murder, like, the death penalty. And I'm assuming that means they can't come back now and raise the stakes even more versus, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to have to get Michael on here for him to clarify those types of things, because I don't know 100% one way or the other. So we have, let me see. Michael Osbrook says they added the knowing and intentional counts, which was dumb, actually.
Well, I mean, it wasn't dumb because they got a conviction on it.
But, to me, I feel like, so when you look at this case from, somebody, I would say a lot of us know the case obviously a lot better than what the appellate court judges are going to. They're not going to have the insight that we have, and call us biased or call us, one-sided. There are things about this case that are, it's common sense. And when you Michael says felony murder was much easier case for the state. There are things about the case that, when you look at the third party suspect element and the nexus in this case, and everything about the trial, in my opinion, and obviously we've only heard, unfortunately, from one juror who claimed the jury disregarded everything else but the confessions. And
the prosecution also disregarded like almost everything else. The prosecution made zero case for felony murder. Their narrative was that he was the guy, and that ties into the confession part of where that he's the guy. So he's the guy. Like they made zero case for felony murder, some way that he could be involved but wasn't actually the killer. They never like argued that.
But my point is that at the time of the signing of the search warrant, at the time of the interrogation, at the time of the arrest, and at the time of the safekeeping order, we had no confessions.
Correct.
So all of that came after, which is the biggest hurdle for me to get past, which obviously I believe that the state is capable of manipulating the situation like they did doing what they had to do to isolate him, drive him crazy. And, you know, we still have no idea. I mean, on every front, the state lied. They lied about the videotape. They lied about his treatment. They lied about his coherentness. You know, on the onset, you know, we were told he confessed. He was completely sound-minded and stable. And now we find out that
They lied about the witnesses too.
right, they lied about everything.
He said he saw a group of 3 girls. They never even made a claim that there were like, I mean, they just said 3 girls, but they didn't really, like, we all know there wasn't, there was 4.
But the thing is that that wasn't presented at trial. His defense didn't present that there were actually a group of 3 girls on the trail. They never presented that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure.
They never
how deep their investigation really got into some of that stuff. That
is the dilemma. No one's, you know, I'm not taking anything away from the effort, the heart, the passion, but legally there was no defense. You know, Rick Allen's defense team putting on the fact that there was a group of 3 girls out there around the same time that Rick Allen claimed he was on the trails. You know, we now have Kathy Allen's deposition where she said that Rick told her that he saw 3 girls that were acting weird, so he decided to leave. That all could have coincided with what Rick said. And then you bring in 1 or 2 or all 3 of the 3 girls that were out there on the trail. I mean, we have screenshots of their communication online about being there when this all happened. I
think this is a fair point because this is something that, from my perspective, I considered they might be doing along the way, is leaving some breadcrumbs for a appellate foundation, and like if this goes to, like, you have to be thinking. You have to be thinking you want to, like, get not guilty. But you also got to be thinking, well, if it's guilty, like, have we included things that can be used in an appeal? And I think to some degree they did that, but they definitely missed a lot. And
the problem is,
so I want to change one of my answers because of one of the things that I think that they laid some foundation for along the way was ineffective assistance of counsel, and I assume that's something that could have been brought up in this appeal. And
no, you can't on a direct appeal. Ineffective assistance of counsel is irrelevant. That's not. Gotcha. That is not. Yeah, you can't bring that up on direct appeal. Direct appeal is simply about what's within the record and how the judge handled the case and the rulings that she made on a legal foundation. Anything that the attorneys did wrong or did not do would only come into play in a post-conviction relief portion of the case. And the fact that the 3 girls that were out on the trail that day was not raised at any point through pretrial motions, pretrial hearings, or during the trial would then, I would think, fall under the category of new evidence. Then you have to go back and look at, were the 3 girls, hypothetically, the 3 girls and their names ever provided to the defense in discovery? If it was, then it's not necessarily new evidence because the defense had it. That would then fall under ineffective assistance of counsel.
Gotcha. I mean, I know you've got one particular set of 3 girls in mind, but we don't know how many sets of like
There seems to be quite a few.
And we do in fact know that there definitely was another 3 sets of girls out there at one point, because Abby, Libby, and Kelsey were there on the trail at a point in time. Like they were literally on the property together, a group of 3 girls. That is also a group of 3 girls.
You're saying that Kelsey was on the trail with Abby and Libby that day?
I mean, that's the story, that she dropped them off, right? So the 3 of them were there, and they parked on the trail.
Well,
they were in fact all 3 of them there.
Bye, Michael.
On the trail.
Well, see, that's a whole nother argument that could be raised, and unfortunately, I think at trial, the defense was playing Lightfoot with Kelsey. She's the victim's sister, and she's been through so much, and they didn't want to press her, even to the point to where the court reporter at trial, everyone in the courtroom who was there taking notes, all wrote down the kind of vehicle that Kelsey claimed that she was driving, and she said she was driving a Mazda. And then Becky Patty takes the stand, and she says, what, Bonneville? And then the trial transcripts come out, and in both testimonies, the court reporter has down that Kelsey was driving a Bonneville. Now, is that accidental? Or is that someone superseding a complete conflict of testimony that they felt that they would just, take control of and fix, which that leads me to believe there's other areas in the trial transcripts that are not quite accurate, which is why we don't have audio recording.
I lean towards that I did go to a couple days of the trial, and like I mean, you couldn't hear very well, and they created that situation to make sure that people could not hear very well. I think that I think that the miscommunication is more likely to have happened on people reporting what they heard rather than what it was. And I mean, I think we do know that it was definitely a Bonneville.
Does anyone know if the Patties owned a Mazda?
I wouldn't know anything about that. But the pictures of the inside of the vehicle are also 100% of Bonneville.
Is it yeah. Well, and that's what it's things like that. But when you go back to Kelsey's, which Quester and I have gone over this 1,000 times, trying to figure out why we have minute by minute accurate GPS on the first half of the route to the trails. The second half of the route is very choppy. It's tight, curvy roads, tight turns. I've drove it. I recorded it. And the timing doesn't match. And the second half of the GPS is missing on that route to get to the Mears lot. Which, okay, call it what it is. It's, the GPS isn't accurate. Well, it's accurate 50% of the time. It's accurate only when the state says it's accurate. But when it doesn't line up with what the state says, then all of a sudden it's, okay, well, there's X amount of meters in error that you can rely on. But that doesn't seem to apply when the state is telling us where the girls are. And when you go back and you listen, first and foremost, when Sergio did the analysis on Kelsey, and he went through her interview that she did with Doug Carter, and she went through her, her rendition of what she did that day after dropping the girls off. She went to her boyfriend's house.
Where is Sergio?
I don't know what he's doing. He's doing something with his daughter, so I've not bugged him. But he hasn't been putting any videos out either. But anyway, Kelsey kind of confines her story to being at her boyfriend's house. She watches a movie with her boyfriend's dad. She's getting ready for work. Her phone's plugged in and it's laying on the floor. Her grandma calls. She doesn't answer. Grandma calls right back. So she's like, oh my, something must be wrong. So she answers her phone. There's another interview that Kelsey gives where she claims that her and her boyfriend washed his truck. They went into town and washed his truck, or I can't remember if they washed it in town or if they washed it in his driveway. Then you go to the scene of the crime, which is, I think it's like a 9 or 10 part podcast that's on, you can get it on Spotify. And it's produced by Kelsey German and Bree Wilbur and the woman who's speaking in the podcast. And the interview,
Yeah, I've listened to that. It's good.
It is good, but if you listen to it prior to the trial, or you listen to it and not compared it to her other interviews, it would probably like blow right past you what she's saying. But she's claiming in this interview that she dropped the girls off, went to her boyfriend's house. She then left and met her friends downtown for lunch, then washed a car, then went back to his house, then went to work. So where does the watching the movie with the boyfriend's dad come in? Who did she go downtown in Delphi with and eat lunch? Who are the friends? Like, where is her alibi? It's changed so many times. And then at trial, she claims that she didn't even pull into the Mears lot. She was driving on 300. She pulled over to the edge. Her car is still facing the road and she let the girls out. But before the trial, she had always said that the girls got out. She made them put on sweatshirts, told Libby she loved her, blah, blah, blah. Watched them walk down the gravel drive. Well, we know now, based on the photographs in the car, at least by the image of Abby already had on the sweat jacket. Why the lies?
I mean, I'll say something that's just universal true is that what people say is just words. Like there's no like evidentiary like.
I agree. I agree.
I don't care if it's whoever, like I don't care if it's Betsy Blair or Kelsey German or Rick Allen, any or any of the cops that testified. The words are just words unless you have something to back it up, and like that you take it as it's just words, and it can be completely wrong all the time. And that can be anybody. Like beyond that, it can be anybody that you know, anybody that you talk to. Words are like what people say is just words.
So take away the words, and I'm not disputing that at all, because I agree. And for a long time, I was really adamant that I'm not going to go there, because I just didn't first of all, Kelsey, the way that she comes across personality wise, is, in my opinion, very docile. You just don't, I never saw her as being involved, I guess. I don't know how to characterize her character, but over time, when I've look at some of the statements that she's made, okay, they're just words. However, her actions also bring into question, the element of her catfishing her little sister prior to this happening.
But that's also the words. I mean, we don't.
But that's, I mean,
sure, like any of her actions. So, I mean, until you've got something that like backs up, like.
Do you believe that she went in and she deleted any of Abby's messages?
I mean, I would have no idea. I mean, there has to be evidence of things like that. That's what I'm saying, is that like what anybody ever says is only what they say, and like could corroborate something with additional evidence. Like Rick Allen said that he was on the trail that day. We have zero evidence that Rick Allen was on the trail that day. Period. We don't have any evidence. It does not exist. Otherwise, we would have seen it. It would have been some of the best evidence against him that could possibly exist. Proof that he was on the trail that day. All we have is him saying that he was on the trail that day. That's not proof of anything. Those are also just words.
So do you think that this was a crime of opportunity, or do you think this was a crime committed by an individual who intentionally set the girls up to meet the perpetrator out there?
Well, I think there's also gray area. I mean, what do you call it if somebody knows that they're out there and then rushes out there? Which is that? Is it a crime of opportunity, or is it premeditated? It's kind of both. It's the in between.
So you don't think that the girls went to the trail that day with the anticipation of meeting someone? I'm asking.
I really don't know. No, I mean, it definitely seems like it could be a possibility. There is a lot that points in that direction. I think that also because there were, social media postings that somebody could know that they were out there via the media postings and then rush out there. I mean, it's all very, very close. It doesn't take you very long to get there. Like upon seeing a Snapchat picture, you could be there in like 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, depending on where you're at. I mean, you could be out there very, very quickly. It's very, very like close, all of it. Yeah. And that's where you get some like gray area. And then what is that? Is it premeditated, or is it a crime of opportunity?
To me, I just feel.
I would think it's very weird that someone's just stalking the area.
I see. I
like waiting for their
feel
chance to commit a crime. No, I don't think so. No, I don't think that.
I personally feel like this was an intended ambush. I don't think it was perpetrated by one person, and the ulterior motive is either, for me, like I'm not definitive on who the suspects are. I'm kind of 50-50 in between Ron Logan, that group, the Patrick Westphal group, or some sort of blending of the two. And for me, it starts with the night before and Libby reaching out to a whole bunch of people and asking them to meet out there. And every single person that we're aware of that she invited reportedly had an excuse that they didn't go. But we also don't know who else she was communicating with. We know, if you believe the interrogation of Keegan Kline, there was communication between Keegan Kline and Libby as early as the morning of the 13th, which we don't see in Bunner or Cecil's report. That's all left out. And I don't believe that the only person that Libby was communicating with that night was simply a Tyler. We know that Max Snowberger also claimed he was communicating with Libby that night. We didn't get to see any of that information. We don't know who else she was communicating with, but what we do know is that Libby was accessing a lot of risky apps, not just Snapchat, not just Instagram, but there were several others, including Monkey, that she was utilizing to talk to people. And who she was encountering, we'll never know unless we have a defense team that basically puts it all on Front Street. But going back,
we missed the boat on that, I think we missed the boat on that part,
Well, not if we get a new trial, or not if they decide to use that information in a post-conviction relief as new evidence.
Right. I mean, PSA also, just for anybody that has children, like, be super cautious about letting your children on the internet, because it's not better now. It's probably much worse.
It's way worse. It's way worse.
You've got like people on Roblox, like going after very small children. Like it's completely crazy. Like, and if you don't believe that, like, look into it, because it's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that Libby was doing that I don't think that Libby was doing it knowingly, that she was putting herself in harm's way.
Well, no, the children are not responsible for knowing that that's not good. The parents are responsible. The guardians are responsible for knowing. Don't let your children just go nuts on the internet, because that's not, like, that's bad. That's not going to end up well. Like it could be fine. They could be fine, but you know what? There's a lot of danger. A lot of danger in it. So I think that night is where it started, and I'm going back to Sergio's analysis of Kelsey. I think that he made some really good points in the fact that Kelsey probably knew Libby was up to something, and she attempted to stop it, but wasn't quite able to do so. And, we'll never know, but I think there's a lot more to the phone data than what we are aware of now publicly. And I don't know, I don't know what a defense team going forward would how they would find that, how they would use that in a relevant way in a post-conviction relief case without, no one wants to make Abby or Libby look bad by presenting their actual behavior if they were doing things that they shouldn't have been doing, which I think that we all know that there were things that were going on that weren't on the up and up. Doesn't make them bad kids. It just makes them normal teenagers. Well, I mean, Abby was 13, so she's completely exempt from any sort of scrutiny. There's no way, shape, or form that a child can be held like for any responsibility. Like, and she was a child legally. We do know that Abby was sending nudes. I mean, I don't know that. That's the first time.
Max Snowberger did confirm that.
Well, possession of that would be a crime, period.
Well, he was a kid at the same time. They were both kids.
It depends on how old he was.
Well, I think he was still in high school. They were kids.
Well, still in high school. No, that's not the law in Indiana. Like
Well, yeah, I don't know what the law is there.
Oh,
I mean, as far as
there are age gap breaks, and there's one at 16 is like the break, but like at 14 versus 16 plus, that's
Michelle,
the other break, and these are hard coded like breaks of no, that would never fly. It's immediately a felony.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, I do. I'm almost certain that when it comes to things that Kelsey was deleting on Libby's accounts, that might have been some of the things that she was deleting. That's just my speculation, but that type of thing was going on. If you believe anything that Reese Davis said, he claims that Keegan claimed he also received images from Libby, and that he had even sent Libby.
Well, we're going back to what people say and what people say.
Well, I mean, that's all. That's all that we have to go on. I mean, there is not a lot of factual, hardcore evidence in this case. I mean, we're putting
correct
person after person on the stand.
There's no actual evidence.
But there are things that there are. The problem is with the state's case is there is digital forensic evidence that backs it up, and a lot of it was excluded or left out, not only just by the state, but I also believe by the defense, and I don't know why. A lot, you take the entire interrogation video.
Lost a lot. Like, the defense did lose a lot of time, so
they did.
It's hard to go completely throw them under the bus when you're destined to just continue losing. Like everything got motion eliminated out without without any warrant. Like, why would you motion eliminate out the owner of the property? That's insane.
And the
why
defense,
would you motion and eliminate out somebody that confessed to aiding and abetting and participating in the crime? That's insane. Like, why are you removing Ron Logan and Keegan Kline from any discussion? That is crazy. Like, honestly, the other stuff is also crazy. Why would you motion and eliminate out the father of the victim's boyfriend? Like, that's crazy. These are all bad decisions.
Because the judge told Nick McClellan to do so, and he did, and she supported it.
She directed it.
Yeah, she did. She sure did, and that's why I'm just not anything that goes back in front of her. I'm completely not confident that anything's going to change. Not confident at all.
There's always going to be a fear factor of when you get called out on something.
But the deeper question is what is in it for Judge Gall? What is in it despite the fact that this is the largest case that she will ever have presided over, and she's clearly walking away with. I don't know. Is it me? Are we looking? Do you guys feel in this case that we are divided 50-50? RA is guilty. The other half is RA is innocent. Is Judge Gall getting, is her reputation tarnished a little bit, or is it tarnished a lot? And are
99%.
I mean, you think it's 99%? I mean,
Yeah,
that many
pretty close.
99% thinks what? That RA is innocent?
Yeah, that he's innocent and that she's completely tarnished and destroyed herself.
Do you think the people of Allen County feel that way? Do you think that they're paying attention?
I don't think they're paying attention. I don't think Allen County cares.
Yeah, I mean, I would go as far as 60-40. That there, I think that there's and I guess I would
Well,
think.
I was going off of like in your chat.
Oh yeah, in my chat. Oh, absolutely, in the chat. I'm talking about overall because I feel like the majority of us who are fighting for public awareness on this case are not even from Indiana, and there are, I know for a fact I communicate with a handful who are from right there in Delphi who have strong opinions about Nick McClelland, the county, law enforcement, ISP, but will never, ever speak out simply because of the fact that they live there.
I mean, it's hard to gauge something like that because most people will just go with whatever the narrative is. So,
but my thing is,
so then you're probably pretty even. But like for anybody that like actually is like even like a little bit looked at everything, I think you start swinging way further towards.
No,
they don't think he did it.
I'm talking about critical thinker, absolutely. I'm talking about what's in it for Judge Gall. As a judge, the gatekeeper of facts, the gatekeeper of the law, the decision deciding factor over a case like this, why so biased? Like, I mean, is there a unknown relationship between her and Nick McClelland? Or, I mean, what is it that caused her to be so absurdly biased against Rick Allen and his defense team when she's the one who reached out to Andrew Baldwin and asked him to take the case?
Well, I believe that what actually happened is they reached out to Rosie, and Rosie reached out to
Andrew. Right. You're right. It's the other way around.
And there's a lot of reasons to reach out to Rosie because he's, his brother's in law enforcement. Like he's well liked and respected and worked with like lots of these local people. I think the wild card was that he then extended the invitation to Andrew Baldwin, who is not the same person as Brad Rosie at all. And they didn't quite vet that the same way as they were hoping it would go with Rosie, who would maybe just like, hey, here's this guy that'll just go along with everything because like he's one of us. He's just going to go along. And eventually he didn't. He didn't just go along, but like he also brought in a firestorm and Andy.
Yeah, so I just wonder why, what changed, and what, the constant underhanded games that she played, for, prime example, her given, the heads up to Nick McClelland to file the motion of limine on the third party suspects. And,
well, nothing changed. It was a railroading from the beginning, and it continued to be a railroading through the end. And
the thing is that, Judge Gall wasn't assigned. Diener was actually the judge on the case until he stepped down. So she came in.
Well, he didn't step down. He completely disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, he did.
He
stepped down, retired, and ran for cover because well, we all know why, but I mean, Judge Gall wasn't initially on the case, but when she came in, like I've been saying, I don't know what her motive was. You know, you have to ask yourself, you know, in a situation, you just don't know what goes on behind. You don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Was this a whole conspiracy amongst not only Nick McClellan, ISP, Carroll County, and now we're going to bring in this random judge and we're going to bring her into the fold
Well,
to railroad Rick
higher
Allen?
than that, because they're you know, the Supreme Court like assigning her to the case. Like it does go higher. Like it's not a conspiracy. That's just what happened.
Right.
She was assigned to this case by higher powers, and for good reason. I mean, she was a hired gun.
It's so frustrating. All right, let me look at the chat and see what's going on. She's protecting the state. I mean, yeah. Diener was afraid of the bloodlust.
I mean, that's sarcastic, you know. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Do my /s there.
Yeah, I've had some people. Yeah, it would be interesting to see a chart of how Gall and everyone else is connected. Yeah, I mean, I've had people send me some stuff. You know, there's some stuff about her and some people on the jury. I've gotten a lot of stuff sent to me about her kids and what her adult kids are involved in. But I've never pursued that because there's just, you know, you're beating your head against a brick wall when it comes to a situation like this. This is a situation where
there is some stuff there.
Yeah, there is some stuff. I've just not pursued it. I feel like I would be beating my head against a brick wall. I mean, this case, I think unless the appellate judges that are assigned to this case are the brazenest of the brazen and take this case completely out of Judge Gall's hands, I don't know I don't care what the legal argument is. I don't know how confident I feel that this will see any relief in the direct appeal stage of the case.
I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot. I mean, my understanding is that it's kind of like it's random. It's like almost like a lottery as far as which judges will get it, and then one of them is excluded because of relations to the case. And but I mean, who knows which way that one would particularly go. So like, so you're either improving your odds or worsening your odds. But I do think that no matter what happens, even if it's denied, that you will see a dissent from a judge that definitely agrees with what is in this brief. I very much believe that somebody will. Well, I mean, that one of the three will definitely have something to say about this.
I mean, and even if they do, it doesn't change the decision. It just means the clock starts.
It doesn't change the decision, but that individual will be correct in everything that they say.
Well, it's going to be a long road. There's going to be extension after an extension, and if this case gets bounced back,
I mean, I don't think that there's. I mean, we are like like, going in a forward direction here. Like there's only so many days for the reply. There's only so many days to the reply to the reply. And then, I mean, I don't think that they'll drag this out longer than what their normal processing time will be. It'll go to the end of what their normal processing time will be, but
they will drag this out.
They're not. Once
you
get the reply, and once you get the reply to the reply, like, it's not going to be like a whole. They're not going to sit on it for a year.
Well, no. What's going to happen? What's going to happen is now it sets with the state. The state is going to write out the time frame, and at the end of the time frame, they're going to come back and they're going to ask for an extension. Then they may come back, just like the defense did, and ask for additional words, which they could have done.
I don't think that that's going to happen. I think they will.
Oh, no.
They'll go ahead and take their 30 days and put it in their 30
I don't think so. Then it will.
And you get a 15-day reply to the reply, and then we wait for the court.
Which there's no deadline on the decision.
There is no deadline, but I don't think they're going to go outside the norm of what they're normal.
Why don't you think they will?
Because it looks bad. That's why. Because if you sit on this, if you sit on this for a year when you don't sit on anything else for a year, okay, yes, it is complex. Yes, correct. So take your maximum amount of time, which is maybe like 6 months. But then I think that's as far as they drag it out. Like, I don't think they're gonna just continue to sit on it for no good reason. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they'll return a decision.
I disagree on that. I think that they're going to take every minute they possibly can to drag.
Well, every minute they possibly can is forever. Because there isn't a deadline. I don't think they're going to sit on it for 20 years. I don't think they're going to sit on it for a full year. I think that their typical processing time is like 4 to 6 months, and I think it won't be 4 months, but I think it will be 6 months.
Well, we'll see. I'm not just talking about the appellate court. I'm talking about the process in general, as far as even once the appellate court. So if the appellate court comes back and they affirm the lower court's decision, or they deny the direct appeal, then it goes into post-conviction. And then I have no idea what Rick Allen's or Kathy Allen's game plan is, because in the state of Indiana, they do have access to a public defender. But they go, if they don't have the funds to hire an attorney, or if at that point an attorney hasn't stepped up, like Osbrook and Weineke have already done, to take on the post-conviction relief, he will, and they're going to rely on an Indiana lawyer out of the public defender's office. He will go on a waiting list, because it's first come, first serve, until his case is assigned. And the waiting list as of now is a 2-year waiting list. And then once his case is assigned, then you have to allow for this new assigned attorney to get acclimated to the case before filing whatever initial filings they're going to file.
I mean,
so,
very much out of a public defender on this complex of a case, and I feel like they would do a similar sort of thing as far as look outside of the normal.
Well, she would have to pay for that.
I mean,
you're not going to get.
It's. I think it's similar to like how they got Rosie and Baldwin on. when the public defender's office doesn't have somebody that's capable, then they
Well, I think I think most of the attorneys in the public defender's office all believe that they're capable, and you have you. So,
but it's not up to them to decide whether they're capable because they're not capable.
well, when you're talking free legal services in a case like this, I don't believe at that stage you're going to have anybody picking up the phone seeking out the best of the best to ask them if they'd be willing to. First of all, they're not going to the attorneys have to be signed on as, like Rozzi must have at some point in time made himself available to the public defender's office to be on a list.
Correct.
So, and that's based on a rotation. And believe it or not, there are many good attorneys in the public defender's office. The problem is in the public defender's office, they are overworked. They are all
that's 100% correct. 100%
with case files stacked to the hilt. And that's why, I don't know what Kathy Allen has going on behind the scenes. And I don't know if there is, we could very well have a Alan Jackson, and I'm not saying Alan Jackson specifically, I'm saying someone in that realm of an Alan Jackson waiting in the wind to say, here I am, but they may not step into the scene until after the direct appeal is denied.
I would not hold out your hopes for anything like that. I think that they've been somewhat misled in thinking that this direct appeal has more promise than what's actually like.
Well, I mean, you do have there are a lot of big firm attorneys out there who can afford to take on a case of this magnitude, who's not going to be at the mercy. A public defender
doesn't have magnitude because it wasn't on TV. Like that's a huge problem. We didn't get that on the first trial because that's not the direction it was going to go. Like, well, and nobody wants to be attached to this type of crime. Like, that's not what is good for your public relations at all. Like, this is bad. Like, murdering children is bad.
I disagree because I feel like there are lawyers out there who pay attention, just despite the fact that, even though this case wasn't televised as far as the trial goes, it has made primetime television. It's been on multiple major networks as far as documentaries. It's been on court TV nonstop.
Yeah, and they all report that he's guilty. Well, that's not good for your public relations. That's just not realistic.
I'm holding out hope that there's somebody out there who's been watching, who, like, for example, I hate to keep going back to the Stephen Avery case, but back in the days, trials weren't televised, period. And Kathleen Zellner picked up Stephen Avery's case, and the great thing about
what she has to say about this case?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what she has to say about this case?
No, I haven't heard what she's had to say.
She doesn't say things, but she's said it with her actions. She's like, fuck this case. She wants nothing to do with this. Nothing.
Well, that's her.
Anybody that asks her hey, please get involved in the Richard Allen case, she's blocking them. She is that is not.
Well, that's
not the person that's going to help.
No, I never expected that she would. But I'm talking about.
There aren't a lot of other people like her. It's not like a whole.
Oh, there's quite a few. There's quite a few. There's quite a few.
You know what probably needs to happen is Andrea needs to get her Indiana bar lined up.
Yeah, that would be a great thing because she's so familiar with the case, and really it only, I mean,
Not
it's
anybody that's more familiar.
I don't even
exist anybody.
I don't even think it's really not that difficult of a process on a contingency basis to get licensed to handle a case. But you know, with a firm like, my point was, with a firm like Kathleen Zellner, was she is not at the discretion of a judge approving what she can do and what she can't do as far as testing and researching the case and investigating the case. Of course, she would have to get permission to have access to certain items for DNA testing, but everything else, you know, when you're talking about getting approval for a simple fucking expert to testify, to pay the expert, that's where a law firm that has the capacity of like a Kathleen Zellner comes into play. She doesn't need the judge's approval. She has her own experts. And
that would be like the number one person to be involved with this, except
there's other firms like that.
Or she's like, you know, she's like, screw you to everybody. Like, she does not want to be involved with this. And I feel like that's going to be something that's persistent among a lot of your options.
Well, that's, you know, I at the end of the day, it's going to come down to what Rick and Kathy choose to do. And, you know, if you listen to, you know, the Peanut Gallery, there's somebody already doing work on the case. I mean, I just don't know what's true or what's not true. And, you know.
Right. I have zero idea any of that.
Yeah, I have no idea what's true or what's not true. And I don't know who she would have working on the case who hasn't, at this point in time, been leaked to the public. Who's working on the post-conviction. And, you know, if she doesn't want Rick sitting in prison for the next 3 to 4 years, that should be already in the works. Because if he's stuck with an Indiana public defender, or even going through the process of being assigned, or someone stepping in and saying, okay, I'll take it, I'm on the list to act as a public defender.
I wouldn't even rule out some pro se shenanigans at this point.
Well, pro se, I mean, that's what a Kathleen Zellner or a Michael Osbrook or a Weineke, that's what they would all be doing, is pro se.
Oh, that's pro bono. That's pro bono, not pro se.
Oh, no, you're talking about, oh yeah, you're right. Pro se is Rick Allen filing by himself. I don't see that happening either.
He's got a lot of time to. And
even when someone files pro se, normally they have someone behind the scenes writing the docs for them and then them filing them in their own name.
Yeah, I think they're not supposed to do that a lot.
I don't know.
And an attorney is not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to.
Oh no, they do it all the time.
I mean, I'm sure it does happen, but I think you're not supposed to back a pro se. Like, well,
it's not
situation like that. That's definitely you're putting yourself at risk doing that.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah, so all I says, as of now, the state has until January 16th. Yeah. Or they can file an extension. That's what they'll do. They'll wait until around the 12th or the 13th. They will file an extension. Then they will come back after the extension is almost exhausted. And
you're saying that as though it's like Nick, but it's not Nick. It's the AG. Like, I don't think they're going to. I think they'll just do it.
I don't agree.
No, I mean it's definitely possible. It could go either way, but I think they'll just go ahead and do something like, and I don't. You're not helping yourself just sitting on it.
Yeah. But in a lot of cases, that's what happens. Postponing the inevitable, dragging it out. That's typically, in a large case, is how it goes. And especially, I mean, when in this type of a case, when there is so much underlying corruption, the state never knows what the defense is going to pull out of their hat. And this is just my personal opinion. And I'm sure someone like Michael will disagree with me, because, he's not going to knock the system. Everybody wants to believe that everybody's on the up and up. But we all know through the looking glass that Carroll County ISP is not on the up and up. And if what the majority of us believe has transpired in this case was to ever, where the rubber meets the road, ever land on the right judge's desk, what do you think the outcome would be and the detriment to those who facilitated a complete, intentional, wrongful conviction? Do you think the state is going to step up to the plate and be the buffer and protect these individuals? Or do you think that the state is going to have to step aside and allow these individuals to be personally liable for their bad acts?
That isn't how anything works.
That is exactly how it works. These people are never held liable for what they've done. That never happens. Well, let's take a look. They act this way because there's zero impunity. That's why they do this. No, well, let's take a look at one of the cases moving through the court system right now in New York, the Gilgo Beach case. You have your chief of police, Jim Burke, and the prosecutor, who were in bed together, who just literally, in the last couple of years, just got out of federal prison. And the state literally hung them out to dry for their bad acts in the cover-up in that investigation. That's the same thing that happened. That's exactly why Stephen Avery is still sitting in prison. That's exactly why. Well, so the question is, does that do anything for the defendant? Has that done anything for either of those defendants, or will it? That's why I'm saying that is my purpose about why the state drags it out, pushing back the inevitable. In a case like this, where we all can see from the outsiders looking in the corruption and the wrongdoing, the state can only do so much. What does it matter if it doesn't do anything for Rick Allen? They don't care about Rick Allen. I know, but they care about covering their own assets. Even in your best case scenario, is like, oh, somebody gets slapped on the wrist, but it helps Rick Allen 0%, just like Stephen Avery and just like the Gilgo guy. Like, it doesn't help them at all. So you don't think that you don't think that the state, when I say the state, I'm talking beyond Nick McClelland. I mean, the AG's office, the appellate court, the Indiana Supreme Court, from the top all the way down, they're not willing to protect their own. That you think that they're
Oh, they're not willing to protect their own.
you don't think so?
No, I mean, not
So
ultimately.
you don't think that Judge
I
Gall,
think that every single one of these people are just completely disposable. But as long as they protect like themselves above that,
so who do
it doesn't matter. Like that.
You don't think that Judge Gall? You don't think that Judge Gall was protecting Nick McClellan and Jerry Holman by ruling?
No, I absolutely think she was. And I think that they all are, and they just go with that because you're going to get yourself in trouble if you don't. So that's what they do. They should have zero expectation that they're actually protected because you will be thrown under the bus just like anybody else will. Like, But does it doesn't necessarily help the defendant ever in any of this.
No, but the defendant.
Sure, it would be great for some of these people to get their comeuppance. Sure, it would.
The defendant.
But does it have impact on the defendant?
The defendant is the sacrificial lamb. The defendant is.
Correct.
He's the sacrificial lamb. They don't give a shit about him. All they need to do is keep him in prison at any cost. And that's why I'm saying in a case like this, with the level of corruption that there is, they have no idea on any given Sunday what a defense team can pull out their hat to shatter their lies and their conspiracy.
Well, I think it's conflating things to consider the appellate team a defense team. Like, they're separate things. Like, this is not a defense team currently. Like, this is an appellate.
I'm not talking about the appellate team is doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
I'm talking about the state. I'm talking about the state.
I know, but you're also mentioning a defense team, and like that's not something.
I'm talking about beyond the direct appeal. I'm talking about back in a courtroom during a trial.
Well, you got to get to that point.
Going for exactly where the defense attorneys do everything they can do. The state is going to do whatever they can do to prevent that from happening. Not because the state is morally.
Well, no, we already saw what they did on the first run around. I mean, they flooded the courtroom with like armed guards. They put up fences around the courthouse in Delphi. They took the jurors on high-speed car chases. Like, there is nothing that they won't do.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that they won't do. They will go to all ends. And
why would you think that at all costs they will drag this out beyond a normal case? Why would you think they wouldn't do that? That's the icing on the cake. That's the easy thing to do.
I mean, what are they going to? We're talking about we're not talking about Carroll County or the Nick or anybody. Like, we're talking about the AG's office. That's who's going to reply to this. And what they're going to. Okay, buy yourself an extra 30 days time. 30 days? We're talking about life in prison. Like, 30 days is nothing. Even if they do it, like, what's the difference? Like, hardly relevant to anything. It's just not. Like, okay, go ahead and get your extension. Big deal. 30 days. Like, you're talking 3 or 4 years. I think it'll probably.
I'm talking
moving.
How soon do you think that you're going to hear? How soon do you think you're going to hear an answer from the appellate court? Okay, and let's pretend we go through.
I think that it's going to be the 30 days. I think the AG will file a reply. I think that with the appellate team will take their 15 days and file a reply. Like, I think they're actually everybody's actually working on this now. I think that if anybody was dragging their feet, well, first, I mean, the state was dragging their feet because they still are not handing over transcripts and discovery. But now that things are moving, I think it's going to follow the timeline. I think it's going to be 30 days for the reply, then 15 days for the reply to the reply, and then 6 months for a decision from the court.
Okay, so that right there puts us at least another 8 months before we even get a decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
8 months. Okay, then let's play the ping pong game that I am anticipating is going to happen. And it is, if it's denying it on a simple denial, to me is them not dragging it out, them remanding it back to the lower court, back in front of Judge Gall, asking her to review certain elements of the direct appeal, or even better yet, hold a Frank's motion. So then I
think what's most likely is that you get a 2-1 decision and it's denied, and there's no cure or recourse at all. Like it's just denied.
Okay.
And then I think that you get one person that writes a very thoughtful explanation as why that is completely wrong.
Okay, but the problem is that if you have one out of the 3 dissent, no one cares about that and what that person has to say.
Right. It doesn't
matter.
It doesn't have any impact. No.
It has no impact.
I mean, it has some impact on, the spirit of the law. I mean, that's why they write their dissents, because it does matter that they have voiced an opinion on it. It doesn't have any direct impact on this case, no.
So where we stand now, we have no idea what the game plan is that Kathy Allen has for Rick. Okay, we have no.
I think that they think that this is. There's reason to be hopeful about this when there probably isn't.
Okay, so we are now at about 8 months out, and we're going to go with your theory that the appellate court just flat out denies. Okay, so in the real world, because we know that Kathy Allen is not a millionaire, she doesn't have $200,000 or $300,000 to hand over to a law firm.
I mean, you could luck out that you get.
She could. You're bringing in.
You could get 2 judges that are of the same thinking as the person that will dissent, and then it's a complete game changer, because then you're probably going to have it remanded, or
I don't anticipate the appellate. This is my opinion. My opinion only. I don't anticipate the appellate court to completely overturn the conviction. If anything, they remand it back for whatever reason, or they grant a Frank's motion. Then you're going to go through the months that it takes to get that on the calendar.
I think the remand situation is very much tied to the Frank's hearing. I think that's what it would be. That's where it would be remanded, or it would just be overturned. I don't think.
I'm not sure what the options are. I know the request was granting at the minimum a Frank's motion, but again, we're about 8 months out, and because the decision was made that the post-conviction relief investigation could not already start with pro bono attorneys willing to. No one was saying that they wanted to represent Rick down the road in post-conviction. They wanted to preserve the evidence, because as of right now.
Well, we're all aware of that, but the people that are important aren't aware of that.
Well, no, I believe that Kathy Allen is very well aware of it. I think that Kathy Allen was given bad advice or was listening to the wrong people. And I hope that she's been in contact with some right people who has set her up for success. But if that's not the case and they are left relying on the public defender's office, then he is going to go on a waiting list and he is going to sit there until he is assigned an attorney of not his choice, but who is available. And whoever that may be is not going to be familiar with this massive case and is going to have to start from scratch. So when I say 3 to 4 years, I believe that's what it's going to be, unless somebody steps in or there's somebody already in the works behind the scenes that we're not aware of. But I have no faith in Judge Gall or anything that floats back down to her that she has to rule on. I don't think there's going to be anything positive that comes of it. If anything,
we've already seen her one time. Like
she's not going to change
around. Yes, nobody should have any faith in her at all.
And I don't, I just don't. I don't see any other alternative that the appellate court would have. I don't see anything right now that would make the appellate court take this case away from her. And I don't even see anybody.
I do think that there's severe misconduct. Like, and it's mostly, and I go back to the beginning of like the one thing I wish they would have expanded on a lot more. You cannot tell one set of attorneys that you can have a Franks hearing and then tell another set of attorneys that you can't, that you cannot do that. And I wish they would have like really hammered on that, because I think that's the one thing that like registers with the judges is that, no, obviously you can't do that. You cannot do that. That's not how anything works.
Well, she did it.
I think that they counted on that it was so self-evident. You don't need to expand on it, but I still think you should have. I think you should have.
Well, she did it, and I guarantee you that it's not going to be a relevant matter in the appellate court's response. They had no legal argument behind that, unfortunately, because it's probably something that's unprecedented. I mean, I know. I think they rest their laurels on just like, hey, you just state that and it's going to be self-evident. And then they immediately followed it up with a quote from Nelson Mandela, like, you're taking up additional words when you could have like been talking about a citation for why you obviously cannot do that. You cannot do that. I mean, I do think that some of the focus was just not quite there. I mean, we know that they got a late start. We know like they claimed that they were too busy. Who got a late start?
The appellate attorneys.
I don't know. They got assigned the case immediately after.
But no, but they didn't work on it, and hence a reason for them requesting an extension was that one of the attorneys was way too busy to actually work on this case.
No, the reason they requested
they went into detail about how complicated the case that they currently were working on was, and that's why they couldn't work on this case.
Well, and they didn't. Well, their main argument was that the clerk had not provided them with all of.
I mean, if that's what your takeaway is, that's fine. But my main takeaway is like, oh, she was way too busy with her current case, and this is what happened, and this is what happened, and this is what happened, and that's why I haven't even been able to read anything.
Candy Eyes, I don't know. There's been a lot of speculation about the civil suit, and I don't know what the clock time frame is on that. I thought the clock had already expired as far as the civil suit goes. I had heard rumors that there was one already in the works. I've heard a lot of different things, so I have no idea.
I also have no idea.
All we can do is wait and see. What happens here.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and absolutely 100% correct. All we can do is wait and see. Like what's been done has been done now, and now we are currently waiting to hear the reply from the state, which will be the people that the AG, which are grossly incompetent people. They're grossly incompetent people. So this will probably not be a very good reply. They probably do not know the case very well. They'll probably make arguments that do not really align with what
I wouldn't agree with I wouldn't agree that AGs are not competent at all. I wouldn't necessarily say that at all.
You don't think that this AG is incompetent? This AG is completely incompetent.
Well, we'll see what the appellate judges think.
Todd Rokita. Todd Rokita is the most incompetent fucking attorney. Like, he's been remanded or reprimanded by the Supreme Court, on multiple occasions. He's not good. These are very stupid people that are not competent of making an argument. I went to the Supreme Court hearing, and the person they sent, complete disaster. They did not know what the fuck they were talking about at all. They absolutely did not. And they lost. They completely
they lost on one argument, and that was the attorneys. The attorneys.
It was a big part of the argument.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the appellate judges say when you look at the ratio of how many cases are overturned on direct appeal. It's not many.
No,
which means that the appellate court is citing the AG's office more than 90% of the time. I'm not saying that it makes the attorney general any more competent. I'm just saying when you look at the ratio of what the appellate court rulings are, they don't come down favorable.
That's because the judges are corrupt. That's the whole reason.
Well, I think that is. Well, no.
No. Yes, it is.
The thing is that you can look at all 50. You can look at every single state and come to that conclusion if you look at the appellate court's rulings across the board. And so you have to go deeper than that. But that is, in hindsight, why a defense prior to conviction is the most important and crucial time of a case, because once a defendant is convicted, you are back-footed from there on out. You are on the back foot. You are fighting an uphill battle. The law is not built or designed that once you are convicted, that it's an easy roll over and lay down and let you reverse that decision.
I mean, that's 100% correct. Yes.
That's across the board. And it doesn't mean that every appellate ruling is corrupt, but it means that we need better defense attorneys defending criminals or defendants who are innocent and people who are willing to fight. Don't get me wrong. I do believe that Baldwin and Rosie fought hard. The odds were not in their favor with this judge. However, good attorneys like these two are, I believe, will be willing in a post-conviction relief case to admit they made mistakes and will be willing to sign on to ineffective assistance of counsel accusations and admit, yes, they made mistakes, which is going to be very, very helpful in a post-conviction case. But across the board, the public defender's office in every state is overwhelmed with the amount of cases that they have. And you can take a good attorney in a matter of 5 years and wear them down to nimble thin, to the point where they're not able to give each case that they have. It's their due diligence. And that's not fair to the attorney, and it's definitely not fair to a defendant. And unfortunately, I would say 85% of the people who go before a judge are more than likely guilty. But it's the other percent that deserves a hell of a fight. And when you don't have the money to defend yourself, you're fucked. And unfortunately, that's just the way that our society is designed. And it's sad.
I 100% agree.
And that's why people who are in prison need advocates. If you come across a person like a Rick Allen that you feel is worth fighting for, if nobody was paying attention to this, where would he be? Michael Osbrook just said that 99% of criminal cases end with guilty pleas, or 98%.
Yeah, I mean, the whole system is designed around that concept.
Michael, let me ask you this.
They get it by pleading, but well,
I was going to ask.
They also get it when it goes to trials. Like, I mean, this once you're charged, like, you're stuck.
Michael, is that 98% truly factually guilty people, or is because
unknowable, because we don't know who's actually guilty. Like, this is just how it works.
I mean, are people
stakes out?
So I'm okay. For example, I mean, when you say criminal cases, is someone pleading out to a lesser sentence, say 5 years probation versus a prison sentence?
I mean, that's a portion of them, yeah.
Because they feel like if they go to trial, they don't have the means to fight the charges against them, but they may not be guilty. Can you answer that, Michael? Like,
we already know that yes, that happens all the time. You have to plead guilty because it's just the best case scenario for yourself, and like, what else are you gonna do? Hopefully it's not anything as bad as murder.
Oh my goodness. Well, is there anybody let me see.
We haven't even talked about like where they tried to pull their shenanigans and get him to plead guilty, and then he didn't.
I would love to hear from like some of the suicide companions in there.
Oh, this goes back to what people say is only words. Like, this is all bullshit. And this is just how it is. Like, you can't count on anything anybody says, period. Always. It's just nonsense. And it doesn't matter. Like, and who cares what Rick Allen had to say? Because he was psychotic. in being forced medication, being forced Halidol, like being driven insane. Like, who cares what the fuck he had to say? Like, no, like nothing he has to say it matters at all.
No, I mean, I would like in a private setting, would love to hear from the suicide companions as to what they were told.
Well, they're all liars. All those people are liars completely. Like, those people are the least trustworthy witnesses that you could possibly get. And I'm already saying
Oh.
the most trustworthy witnesses you can possibly get are also not trustworthy. Like, people just say words.
Well, I can't imagine what it would be like to be in a position to be in prison, whether you're guilty or not, and you're serving, say, a 20 or 25-year sentence, and you've gone through, you know, the educational courses, the rehabilitation courses, and you've worked your way up to earn the privilege of being a suicide companion, where you are now an extension of the state, being asked to observe other inmates and take notes. My reason for wanting to talk to one of them who observed Rick was, what was it that you were told to do or say, if anything, to Rick to continuously keep him in a accelerated mental state that kept him unbalanced? Because I've been told that they were there, not only the suicide companions, but the inmates in that cell block were told, not only told, but were threatened that if they didn't kick his door, scream at him, holler at him, antagonize him, communicate with him through his door, because the suicide companions are not supposed to be communicating whatsoever with the individual that they're monitoring. But these suicide companions were told to do that, or they would lose yard time, they would lose commissary, they would lose access to their tablet. These were threats that came from the guards. Now, those might be
I don't
words.
think it's that deep, because if, like,
Oh, are you kidding me? You're talking
No.
about guards walking around with a video camera in his face 24 hours a
No, I'm
day,
talking about the guard.
including when his attorneys were there, and he had the audacity to walk into a
I'm
courtroom.
talking about the inmates, and I'm talking about like what it is to grow up in Indiana and to mercilessly harass people and be mean. Like, that's
You're
innate.
talking about people who
That's
are isolated, who have.
that's innate. That is innate around here.
You're talking about
people grow
you're
up like
talking
that
about
way.
people who are isolated in prison, who don't have access to world news or what's going on. They hear bits and pieces, and they're told things. And when rumors float around, I mean, can you imagine? I can't even imagine what's floating around.
They grew up mean. They grew up mean. They're mean people. They grew up mean, and they're mean people, and they're bullies, and they're bullying somebody. Like, that's like the status quo. That's just how things are around here.
I don't think that I just don't I don't think that every single person in prison grew up mean or are in there to be a bully.
A whole lot of them did.
Oh, maybe a whole lot of them did, but there are people in there who made mistakes. And there are people in there who are serving long sentences for non-violent crimes. For example, Arisi Davis, who is serving a 50-year sentence for meth. And then you have people who are walking the street that have committed rape after rape and are let out to do it again. I mean,
sadly, they let most of those people out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I can't classify everybody in that same boat. But that's my nature. I don't know. And
it's all sad.
It is all very sad. It is all very sad. And it's prison is not designed to rehabilitate. It's a punishment, and it's they you know, they live on the bare minimum,
The
and
punishment is supposed to be your time. That's supposed to be the punishment.
yeah, but everything else is also a punishment.
Right, and that's
mean,
not so
period.
that all of that is not supposed to be the punishment.
And it's in one of the richest countries in the world. It should not be that way.
Well, I think we might be broke AF.
Yeah, we are. We are.
I mean, all of we are. Like, I think our country is just in complete disarray.
Yeah, Jumpsuit Pablo. I would love to have him on here just to talk about the shit that goes on, especially in a case like this. You've got a high profile inmate who comes in, and I can tell you, just I communicate with Ashley like every day, every other day, and there's women that she's in there with that are completely like, there's a couple of women who I followed their cases that I found out that are in there, and she's like, oh my God, they're so freaking scary. And people walk on eggshells in the women's prison around the high profile inmates in there. And but I think in a men's prison it's a little bit different. A Rick Allen coming in, right off the rip, he's a child killer. That's all he's classified as. No one gives a shit about, everybody in there claims they're innocent.
I would wager that there are a lot of people in prison that do not think that he is guilty at all. There might be
a
lot.
But you're talking about reasonable-minded people. But on the onset, there's a lot of people in there that don't give a shit one way or the other. And like you said, they're mean-spirited, mean people who just don't give a shit about the facts. He's just a child killer. I know, on the other hand, like in Ashley's prison where she's at, a lot of the women in there are very upfront about their crimes and why they're there, and they don't sugarcoat shit. And I've asked Ashley, like, is there anybody else in there with you that you feel needs help because they're wrongfully convicted? And she said, absolutely not. They're all guilty, and they admit it. And in a men's prison, I think that it's more of a status thing. The harder you are, the meaner you are, the louder you are.
Well, that's not
self-preservation.
That is not limited to prison. That's just how people are.
I personally would like to, and I have a couple names that I could reach out to at Westville who are, literally right next door to Rick. But then you run the risk of, are you going to get them? Is someone monitoring their tablet? And how truthful are they going to be to you? And even if you do come across somebody in there who's willing to talk and say, yeah, this is what transpired, why he was here. This is what I witnessed happening to him. That's still an uphill battle, because then you're going to deal with, how credible are they? They're an inmate, are they trying to get a reduction in time? So
they're all always trying to do that. All.
Some maybe.
All. They're all always trying to do that.
You know what? I think I'll have enough faith in humanity to think that when you've got somebody who's in prison, who's stuck there for a very long time, who have watched guards break the rules, break the law, traffic in, contraband, treat inmates wrongly, simply getting a guard in trouble is enough for some people.
I mean, honestly, like those particular
If an inmate
those particular people probably done some very bad stuff. Like you're one to like ascribe like morals to like
it doesn't take morals to tell on somebody, especially when this person is your daily ruler over your life, and you watch them on a daily basis break the rules and do things they're not supposed to do. If they could tell on them and get them in trouble, or even at best get them fired, I think that a lot of inmates would be happy and content with just that. There's not really, I'm not really aware.
There's a few people that are like that where they can get their life right. Like, but the vast majority of people that are capable of that aren't in prison.
Well, back to the appeal, and I'm going to hop off here. We've been on here for a couple hours. Thank you, Fiend X, for coming on, and we are going to have to sit and wait and see how this plays out, and hopefully I can get Michael on here. Hello, Michael. Yes, Dan McCain has a website. He has a weird website.
Oh, God.
He has a very weird
Do not click on that link. Do not click on that link.
Huh?
Do not click on the link. Do not go to that website.
Yeah, he has a, yeah. Oh, shoot. What is it? I have it, Shabugs. I'll send it to you. I think you can do a Cecil. I think it will come up that way.
I think it will too. But
yeah, I think.
But also PSA, do not do that. It's called the omegarts.com. Is it sex magic? God.
It has a little bit to do with that, I think. I don't know if it's Dan or David's, but I think it might be both. I don't know. They're a dynamic duo for sure. Scroll up, Shabugs. She put it in there. The Omegarts, GAARTS. It's funny. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off here. Love you all for being here. We will be here tomorrow at 1 for the vault, and we are going to go over some maps that Fungi has put together. Yeah, it's gross. It is gross. So thanks for coming on, Fiend. It was a nice little debate.
Like and subscribe.
Yes, please. All right, guys. Good night.